This presentation is for the June 2021 Veracross Connect virtual conference, showing folks how to use the Veracross API, accessing it through Python, SQL Server, and also accessing the Canvas API using Python to sync rosters. All right, here we go. Google Alex Pearson 60 to find all this stuff. So the problem is add drop pandemonium at the beginning of each semester. Worst solution is to buy the integration because every section in Veracross becomes a course in Canvas. So not the ideal situation for teachers who teach multiple sections of the same course. Another bad solution, manual exports and imports, a lot of error. So my solution was to basically shuttle CSV rosters between the two systems using Python script and Microsoft SQL Server. In this scenario, courses, teachers, students, observers are static tables in SQL Server that help us along, but the actual enrollment data is delivered fresh once an hour. This is the basic structure. We're contacting Veracross, pulling CSV down to disk, importing that CSV into SQL Server, exporting it out of SQL Server in Canvas format, and then taking that CSV file and posting it through the Canvas API. So here's a Veracross endpoint. I've got my short name in there, FCS. I've got the endpoint specifics here, enrollments. Lots of other endpoints for you, fact, staff, households, assignments, students, the whole works. There's a lot you can download from Veracross, but we're just interested in enrollments and we're just interested in pulling down a CSV. And this actually bypasses the 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 throttling produced by Veracross. So in Veracross, if you're accessing the API, usually you can only get 100 rows. So if you're downloading a CSV, you can pull it all. So if you want to just test it, you can contact your account manager, get your username and password for the API. You know your school short name. And over here, you're going to specify whether you want this enrollment file as JSON or XML. School level is 4. That in most cases means upper school. 3 would be middle school. So yeah, you type that into your browser, and if you got the right password and username, you're going to get a whole mess of data. All right, now I'm going to sort of focus in on this data right here. Take a look at that. And if you have had any experience with Python, you'll notice right away that this is actually a Python dictionary. You got the curly braces, you've got the colon on the left side of the colon is a label, on the right side of the colon is a value, and it's all comma separated. So yeah, we're very close to CSV format, and we're certainly very close to Python dictionary format. So we've got to import some libraries. Now this Veracross API Python library from the Python package index, you can go see the documentation on this at this URL, but from the command line, you can just run pip install Veracross API, and magically, as with all things Python, it installs into your Python instance. Now, these two libraries, CSV and OS, are built into Canvas, so you're going to be able to import them at runtime. All right, step 1, preliminaries. Here we go. We're importing. We've got that Veracross API. We've got that installed. Notice that the hyphen has changed to an underscore here. That was tricky for me. And we're importing that library as V. We're importing CSV, which allows us to create CSV files. We're importing OS, and that allows us to write and delete files to the hard disk. Here, C is actually a variable, and you can see it's in the form of a Python library, and these are just the credentials and the specifics of what account we're logging into, what username we're using, and what password we're using. So FCS, that's for Friends Central. You'll put in your own school short name, and you'll use the username and password that your account manager sets up for you. So down here, and this control bar is kind of getting in the way, sorry about that, but you can see that I'm creating an object, VC, from the Veracross library with the variable C. So we're all set to log in. Basically, this object VC is already logged in. All right, so now let's delete the old files because we're going to get fresh files from Veracross. And if we don't delete the old files, there's going to be a file name conflict. Notice that we've got forward slashes in the file path. So this is just a Python convention, very annoying. A lot of people get stuck on it, so just take note there. You got to reverse your slashes. And here's the OS library, checking for that file path. If it is there, just remove it. All right. And now we're going to open that object, and we're going to use the pull method. We've got some parameters up here. School level is 4. That means upper school. So I'm using the pull method on the VC object, and I got my parameters here. We're specifying what endpoint we're using here. And I'm just referencing that VC. This comes from the object we created from the library we installed from PIP. And the C, that comes from this library of variables for school short name and credentials. Okay, we're all opened up. So we create this CSV file. Again, notice those forward slashes for your file path. Oof, that's a rough one. All right, we open it as a CSV file. Now, with this particular library, you do have to specify your column headings. So there they are, and I actually made them exactly the same as they come from Veracross. So column headings there. So we use the dictionary writer method of the CSV library with these parameters in there, and we write the data. So now we've got the CSV file written down there, and you're going to want to set up a scheduled task with this command line. Whatever you're calling it, wherever you're storing it, you just execute that piece of Python code. No parameters are necessary. So there you go. We've got this first step complete from the Veracross API. We've written a CSV file right to our disk there.